Greetings, members, one and all of the Salivation Nation. Gold and silver miners are poised for a strong 2021. Let's explore. Yes, this is the focus of this headline from Bloomberg through Yahoo Finance. Gold miners are set for another banner year with focus on discipline. Before we get to that, let's take a look at where the precious metal prices are today. You know, most of us feel that gold and silver will rise at some point in 2021. Just recently posted a video about how gold may actually be somewhat lower in the first part of the year because of a stronger dollar. And that dollar index is being tested today with talk about the stimulus and potentially $2,000 checks to each American. That's now stalled in the Senate as I record this video. But right now, gold prices are showing a muted gain, up $4.70, not a whole lot, basically kind of stabilized. And silver's down just 1 cent here at $26.29. But they are a muted gain for gold as stock market rally is fading and the U.S. dollar is slumping just a bit. So gold futures settled higher Tuesday, posting a slight gain in the U.S. as the U.S. dollar softened and gains for equity markets and the U.S. faded in afternoon action. Gold for February delivery was up 0.08%, rose $2.50 or 0.1% to end at $1,882.90 an ounce, following a 0.1% decline on Monday. The dollar slumped by 0.3% as measured by the ICE US dollar index DXY, 0.38% drop, which is a gauge of the US unit against a basket of a half dozen major currencies around the world. Weakness in the buck can help to boost appetite for dollar-priced precious metals among overseas buyers. Meanwhile, a retreat in equity markets after a trifecta of record closing highs for the Dow Jones Industrial Average, which was down 0.22%, and the S&P 500, which was also down by the same percentage, and the Nasdaq Composite Index was down as well, could be helping to foster some buying among these investors looking to hedge their gains headed into 2021. And really, that's just it. You know, there's a kind of muted action for gold, up just very slightly, but we may see the prices kind of stabilize in this area or down somewhat. Although, when I mentioned in yesterday's video, I kind of doubt we're going to see gold drop by a whole lot. I'd be very surprised if it got below $1,700 an ounce. Very surprised at this point. Silver, I think, could stay where it is or go up. I doubt it's going to go much lower, but silver has been much more volatile. And it's very rare that we see a green and red action, which we're seeing here. Platinum is up $19, the biggest mover of the day, and palladium is down $7. Gold is up slightly, and silver is down slightly. So it is interesting to see how that plays out. But overall, gold and, yes, even silver miners are poised for a strong 2021. And they're focusing on discipline, according to this article here, and how gold has outperformed equities this year in 2020 and may rise further in 2021. Speaking of this year, we're at the very end of 2020 right now, and I just posted a video. I'll link to it in the description below, or in the comment section or at the end screen, of the coin set that really does define 2020. I hope you check that video out. The algorithm has not caught on to it, but as much as I like to cover the news topics like this, I enjoy, in many cases, even more so, showing off some of the gold and silver coins and kind of what they represent. And so I hope you get a chance to check that video out. So on this article here, the good times for gold miners expected to continue next year. especially for those that are able to tighten spending and increase return to investors. Just like us, they've got to be disciplined as well, for sure, in their finances and be very smart with how they do things. You've seen myself and other channels out there cover some of these miners and junior miners, and also companies who have investment from larger miners putting money into them that are looking for new sites to discover. So it's quite exciting to see some of these new sites being discovered, and some areas where there can be a potential to bring more of the metal out of the ground. It's kind of one of those ways, because just like the stock market, where there's companies that are actually out there trying to make money off of mining gold and silver, and it's another way to invest in precious metals. And whereas when you hold the physical, I don't really call that investing. I call that hedging against economic instability. But it just goes to show you how versatile the space is, the whole space of gold and silver. The rally in gold prices has helped miners expand their margins and generate record levels of free cash flow, allowing many to pass on profits to shareholders already, Scotiabank analyst Tanya Jakuskonik said. With miners' balance sheets in great shape, we believe investors will benefit from much higher dividends over the coming years. Jakuskonik wrote in a note to clients. Kinross Gold Corporation, for example, offers particularly compelling value as long as it continues to demonstrate sustainable cash flow over the coming quarters. With the outbreak of the coronavirus, the price of gold hit a record in 2020 after demand for safe haven assets surged against a backdrop of lower for longer interest rates, trillions of dollars in stimulus spending, and a weaker U.S. dollar. With none of these factors expected to change anytime soon, Credit Suisse analyst Fahad Tariq said he expects next year to be another banner year for gold, with prices heading on an average of $2,100 per ounce. And I don't think that's necessarily far-fetched. I would not be surprised if we see consistently higher than 2,000, and probably even average around that price. The key differentiator among mining stocks will be those with strict spending habits, Tariq said. If miners keep on the path of returning capital to shareholders and continue to generate significant free cash flow, their valuation multiples should expand, he said. Spot gold prices are down from an all-time high in August after the rollout of COVID-19 vaccines reduced demand for havens, but they remain up about 24% for the year. While the FTSE World Index of Equities is on track to return 13% in 2020, and New York Stock Exchange ARCA Gold Miners Index has climbed 23%. The sell-off of the second half of the year likely facilitated a shakeout of weaker names that have participated in the first half rally. Delbrook Capital founder and portfolio manager Matthew Zablowski wrote in a letter to investors, but now he expects a big rebound in precious metal prices, which could again lift the sector. And I think that's just it. When you're starting to see this happening, these companies aren't just going to be out there doing this unless they really see some promise in the spot price. And I think that this is what we have been seeing over the last really 6 months, especially more and more activity in the mining sector, and a promise out there for this type of thing of where the prices are going to go. So, as I mentioned, we may see a stronger dollar coming into the very beginning of 2021, but as we move into the spring of this year, that could turn around, and I would not be surprised if it did. Let's see. Interest rates remaining low is one other factor to kind of play with this big rebound, as well as swelling liabilities around the globe make rapidly increasing rates intolerable, he said. Top picks by Credit Suisse Tariq include Newmont Corp, Barrick Gold Corp, Agnico Eagle Mines, Yamaha Gold, and Endeavour Mining Corporation with the gold mining, but also look what Eric Sprott is doing, where he's putting money, and also check out, what maybe even some of the silver miners may be doing as well. The economy remains fragile, and the post-pandemic recovery will be gradual at best, Tariq said. We think any near-term pullback in gold price is due to the COVID-19 vaccine approvals, and rollout is a good entry point. And I think that's right. And there's talk about a third vaccine that will could possibly be on nearing approval for emergency authorized use here in the United States. We'll find out and see how that plays out, and maybe even potentially a fourth down the line. I've heard that Johnson & Johnson may require just one shot, but really these vaccines, if effective as they promise, they likely won't see much of that happen until the second shot is administered, and maybe even a week or so after that. We'll find out. But nonetheless, people are still worried. Cases are rising. The interpretation of that data is another big sticking point with folks because they're shutting down everything, especially in New York and other places, California. Draconian measures, which now I believe they should not have shut anything down in retrospect. We're also finding out as far as some of the data were construed and misconfigured by the nation's top infectious disease analyst or Dr. Fauci. Turns out he was essentially twisting data and exaggerating data to fit a narrative, which is unfortunate. Doesn't give us much faith in what our officials are telling us. But all of this is affecting the markets, and that's the thing to keep in mind here. And where the prices are going to be going, I believe we'll see some flexibility and how they are going to be moving, which way. But I don't think they're going to move a whole lot in either direction at this point, except for maybe silver, maybe a bit more volatile. But even as such, I believe that the metals for 2021 as a whole will be bullish. We'll see how it plays out and how the gold and silver miners will react to it in the coming times. Again, I post a link at the end screen of this video for the one coin set that really defines 2020 in gold and silver. I think you'll agree with me when you see it because it was an unintentional coin set. And for those who enjoy the news and the reporting on the markets that I do, I hope you will take the time to check some of those other videos as well out there. I try to be a pretty versatile channel, and I appreciate taking the time to watch and check out some of the information and coins and precious metals that I showcase as well as talk about on the channel. So there you have it. Would also encourage you to hit the notification bell for any future videos that will come up. It does help, believe it or not. There's times where it doesn't help, but more often than not, if more people hit that notification bell, I think YouTube will send that out there and let you know when I do post a new video. And I would like to extend a multitude of gratitude to you all for taking the time to watch this video, and encourage you to please rate, share, comment, and subscribe.